Can we talk about Gotham Europa? What are you guys' thoughts on this product? Dom, let's start with you.
Yeah, did you guys see Code Strap's video on it? He had several. I think he talked to Christian about it. Really made some interesting comments that I was when I saw the demo. I had similar thoughts, but he put it all together and he's like, "This is something they can package and sell to NATO. They can hit a whole bunch of Western allies and say, look, we can securely communicate with each other. We can securely give you insights into when you're having conflict with, counterparts. And we're not violating any kind of treaties or anything like that. Like everything can be self-contained, and you're getting the analyst chat back and forth to be more effective in times of war. I just think it was really interesting. And then leveraging satellites, we know that there's going to be a lot of value with satellite data in a lot of different ways. And here's something now that's packaged, ready to go. And it seems like it's more modularized, right? Like they don't have to buy all of Gotham. Maybe this is just did you guys take it as as kind of a use case module that people could buy?
No, I mean, I thought of it as Slack for the government space.
Yeah.
That's what it is. The Slack for the intelligence community, because the intelligence community has to literally one of the biggest problems with governments talking to each other is how to do it securely in a way that's not going to get hacked, how to present data to each other without getting it hacked. And a lot of that stuff is still done via old school things like secure email for the most part, and like really like other things. So imagine instead you're able to effectively communicate right away. The one thing I did want to stress and I really liked, they actually had some satellite images over Mariupol. So if there was any doubt in people's mind if Palantir was operating in Ukraine, bruh, this gone. Like literally they were showing you stuff that they were doing in Ukraine the entire time. So I think this, believe it or not, this conflict is going to be it's weird because a lot of times defense contractors, they try to sell you something and say, look, we have the next biggest, this greatest thing. But if you have no enemies to use it against, it's kind of pointless, right? It's just like, okay, it's going to sit around.
That's why they have to fearmonger to like get you to be afraid to buy it.
Yeah. And now, guess what? Because of this conflict, Palantir says, hey, here's a real world use case. Enjoy. Go ahead. Oh, you want to see what's going on over Kyiv right now? Blah, blah, blah. Meta Constellation, look at it. Oh, you want to do how many tanks are in this region? Blah, blah, blah. Here it is. So now it's a much, much easier sell. Dude, if the government revenue does not accelerate like crazy over the next 2-3 years, I'm done with Palantir. Because at this point, from what I've seen, every government should be like, here's $1 billion. Get me this right away.
It will, man. But Q3, they're going to kill it, dude.
Dude, I hope so.
They will. So that goes back to like what I was saying, Dom. They're creating like this just like entire operating system for the government. Not circling back to Alex Karp here, but you really do need somebody making sure that this company is focused on these problems. It's so easy to go for like the low hanging fruit. And that is what Palantir is not. They're not trying to go for the low hanging fruit. They're sticking with the most complex problem. And then from there, they're going to modularize everything else. This has always been the thesis for me. Like if these guys could solve the hardest problems, getting downstream is the easy part, but everybody else gets stuck on the low hanging fruit. And then until those companies eventually die, but
I think another big piece though, to what allows that is that if you saw the video on their website or on their YouTube channel about how they have these small teams for these projects. And so they're very fast and flexible to where like in their video, they were saying, yeah, I helped, do this and this for this war and this submarine. Like these are teams, like engineers normally don't get to own projects like that all the way in a small group team at Microsoft or Google. So I think that culture that he's fostered, if they keep doing that, it is going to allow them to move much faster than the competition because there's a lot less bickering. It's just straight to working within your team and owning the responsibility.
Yeah, their innovation speed is crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I will disagree with you on one point, Jay, in that low hanging fruit. In software, low hanging fruit is where the money is. All right.
Right.
Because essentially, if one company has a problem, everyone has a problem. That's low hanging fruit, right? That's what
Mhm.
it is. It's easily identifiable thing. So if you can create a solution that you can map out to a whole bunch of people in a very short period of time using technology like software, which is what software can do,
Yeah.
that provides you tons of return ROI as opposed to working on one big project that has one big goal that can't necessarily be transferred to other areas because it's such a big problem for one industry. So the example that I would give is fast food. Let's say you have a fast food chain that has, trying to get more throughput. Well, if you help them with that fast throughput, get more customers in the door, you can sell to every other fast food company that has that low-hanging fruit problem, right?
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that there's a saying, the riches are in the niches. And so one of the things that Palantir has done in the past is ignore the niches. And now they're starting to go into the niches and say, look, we're fine. We can modularize and actually tailor to your small niche and sell you a product at a much lower cost. And even from the business end, that whole change that they have, where they're actually now allowing flexible usage based what is that revenue, that's going to also be a big driver for them. Before they were like, no, you have to sign a $10 million contract, whether you use it or not. Now they're like, no, you only pay for what you use. That's huge for companies. If
Yeah.
you're telling me right now, Amazon says, look, we'll help you do cloud computing, but it's going to cost you 10 million versus a usage model, Amazon would have been dead long ago. Where Amazon figured out, no, you know what? We'll just go based on usage model. Even the smallest people can pay us a little bit of money, use it. And as their business grows, they can use more compute, they can use more resources. And like I said, I think from a business endpoint, that's a big change for Palantir. I'd like to hear about from Dom about this because he's in software sales. So what do you think about that?
I love you guys heard me on the last week episode when we said what was one slide that jumped out at you is the usage based pricing, because I was like, now they're putting it together. The whole fundamental piece of SaaS is about reducing time to value is the output your customer needs to get. But in order to do that, you need to also make sure that deployment and consumption is as fast as possible, so that way that value can be realized. So they're now doing usage-based pricing, which gets more people into buying and gets it easier to access. But let's take it a step further, and I've heard all three of you say this at some point. Why don't we have just a freemium model? Give me something that gets a device. And they kind of are starting to get that, I think, the hints with CodeStrap and stuff. Like if you saw CodeStrap's video today, I just took notes on it. I watched it. It was a developer advocate job rec for London. So basically, they put a job posting out there to do what CodeStrap does, but in London. So if any of you guys want to move to London, represent it. But yeah, CodeStrap was just saying, hey, we need to build this out. You're going to get your hands on the technology like I am. And freemium, man, if they could put this thing, I just wonder what's the reason why not putting a freemium out. Like when you get your hands on this stuff, I think Alex even told you he might be getting his hands on this stuff, right, Jay?
No, he did not. He said he can't.
Oh, cannot confirm or deny. Yeah.
That means he's getting it.
Yeah.
So most likely, yeah.
But that's what I feel about Chris. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if the game plan is, build network effects within large commercials and within government and then move downstream, I think, and then have last mover advantage in the low hanging fruit, I think that would be the big play. Because the low hanging fruit gets replaced by one technology company, then another, then another, then another. But we don't have any of these technology companies that are tackling the low hanging fruit build a monopoly within large commercial businesses. So I think building that network effects within large commercial businesses and then going after the low hanging fruit is actually the right move. Having that last mover's advantage is the right move. So I know we're kind of frustrated and we want to see that happen right away, but it's happening eventually. The question is, do we think that Palantir has a moat? Do we think that their technology is superior than anything else that's out there that's competitive to Palantir? If that is the question, Now Palantir's just kind of got to get themselves out of their way, out of their own way, and allow the salespeople then to take these modular products and be like, okay, all that philosophy stuff, all that like that technologically savvy stuff, let's ignore it for a minute. Here's how this is going to work for you, and this is how it's going to solve your problem. I think that's one thing that Palantir is going to have to learn. And I think it's something that they're actually addressing. How many like conversations have Alex Karp had where he mentions that, they've messed up in the past, that they've been adversary towards IT, that they've been adversary for sales.
Strap in this. He just joined back with us. If he can jump in, I'd love to pick his brain with this too, because
he'll be here next week for sure. So
I feel like every time we talk to him, I learned so much. It's like an aha moment.
Yeah, we gotta wrap up soon, but he'll definitely be here next week, and we'll talk more about it.
We've been talking for almost an hour. I feel like it's been so easy to talk to you guys about this. Like, I could talk Palantir stocks all day long.
Coach Trap's drunk also.
I'd say, Jay, I would contest you and say I think a top-down approach works, but it's not that great. I think a bottom-up approach is a much easier way to become much bigger. Right now, Palantir is still trying to do more of that bigger product, but I think the sales folk that they did hire literally just went to leadership and said, look, guys, I can't sell this thick product. It's not going to work. Yeah. We need modularity, right? And that's where I think right now they're flipping the script a little bit in now that they're trying to hit a lot more niches using modular products. Because the salespeople, the question that I always have, and I don't understand why didn't they have salespeople 10 years ago that were dedicated to software sales?
Because they weren't selling to commercial 10 years ago.
Yes, they were.
No, they
yes,
were.
They were. Yes, they were. Dude, they had contracts with JP Morgan, Home Depot, all these big companies that they lost. Believe it or not.
Their focus wasn't commercial. That was probably like spin-offs of Gotham.
No,
they trying it out in commercial, but it's not like they were dedicated to selling to commercial business. They were trying out their software on the commercial business. Yeah, Coca-Cola, Home Depot. Yeah. But this wasn't like Palantir dedicating themselves to the commercial business. This didn't really start till 2016. So if your argument is as of 2016, why didn't they really go after? I would agree with you there. But they're selling to the government business, and that's just a whole different ballgame, dude. Like just what they did alone within the government business, it can't be like that's got to be really appreciated, because this is a software company from Silicon Valley that was able to penetrate the government and sell their product and become an operating system for the government. Like, this is insane. They're not selling missiles and rockets here. They're selling software.
No. And Jay, I'm totally with you. I agree that is a part of their business. But
my point is that's why there's no sales team though, right? Because leadership has to be able to sell this. That's kind of like my point here. Leadership has to be able to sell it to the government business. And then you go into the commercial business. Now I'm 100% with you. Now it's time to go after the commercial business and get the tech folks out of the way, and have the sales team lead this attacking the commercial business, right? But yes, I think and Coach Trap has brought this out quite often actually, which is like they should have started this like since Foundry was created, and I 100% agree with that. 100% agree with it. However, I think the concern is the mission going to be, at risk if we heavily rely on sales? And I think that's always been the concern with Palantir. If we start relying on sales, do we then not start developing and top tier products as because that's what they want to be known for, right?